Right. We got it? I think we're in business. Right, so did one of these for my Mount View audition experience. Since then I have had a RADA audition and I've had a LAMDA audition, so I thought I'd do probably a shorter video to just go through how I found it auditioning for both of these schools. So I started with RADA. RADA was on the 14th of December, which was a Friday. RADA was a lot easier to get to than Mount View was. I literally walked for about 20 minutes away from King's Cross and I was there. It was a much shorter day than Mount View. There wasn't any workshop, it was just the monologues and a bit of a chat. So I got to RADA and I think there were about 10 to 15 people all sat in the kind of front foyer. For this audition I changed my monologues because for Mount View you just needed the one classical and the one contemporary, and then for RADA they wanted you to have an alternative classical. I assume if they'd seen loads of the same ones every day, like they want you to, they basically want a bit of variety. So my classical, I can't remember for the life of me whether I said this in the Mount View, but in the Mount View video that is, but my classical speech was Bassanio from The Merchant of Venice, and my contemporary speech was Wasted by Kate Tempest. For this audition though, I changed my main classical to Antony from Antony and Cleopatra, and my alternative was Bassanio from The Merchant of Venice. My problem with this was that I didn't really know the Antony one exceptionally well. I went last out of about 6 of us, and I spent that whole time learning my speech because I just didn't know it as well, which was a bold move, certainly a bold move. So yeah, the actual day, after we had all arrived, they took us all into a meeting room where I assume it was an important room because all the different presidents of RADA all had their pictures on the wall, like Princess Diana and all that lot. Yeah, so we all sat there, and the head of admissions or someone like that, some woman called Jane I think it was, I cannot remember for the life of me, I'm so sorry. But anyway, Jane, she came in and she got us all to fill in what monologues we were doing, and then we gave it back to her and she split us into 3 groups to go with different graduates of RADA. So I think my group is, I think there was about 20 of us, and I had a group of 6, and I think our group went with someone who had graduated in 2012. So I can only assume that they do invite graduates to come back and kind of help out all the time, and I assume it's never that. From that, what I got was that RADA don't seem like a school that just forget you once you're gone. But then we walked out of the building with this graduate and we walked over to a different building which was over the road, and that was where we were going to do our monologues. And then we waited upstairs and they just called us in one by one. As I said, I was the last to go, and I was so nervous because I didn't know it very well at all. And I don't think it helped that the room was really cold to begin with, so I was just shivering. I won't lie, I was absolutely quaking. But when it came to it, I walked in and I think I took a seat in front of them, like right in front of them. We had a chat about everything that I'd written on my application form. So my advice would be, anything you write on your application form, be ready to talk about it a lot, like in detail, because they will ask questions about it. So then we did the monologues, and you're allowed to choose. I think you're allowed to choose which order you do it in. So I got the classical out of the way first because I thought if I do my contemporary, my classical is going to absolutely leave my mind. So I did my classical first. I did fluff the lines, but I'm not sure if they noticed because I just kind of skipped to the end. because I got about 3/4 of the way through and then just blank. But yeah, what am I trying to say? So yeah, I did my classical first, and then I did my contemporary. The only thing that kind of worried me a little bit is because, you know, with auditions, it's the little things that you think, oh, I've done that wrong, that's it, out the window. The only thing that I worried about was that for my classical, as soon as it was done, they said, right, do your contemporary, but just move back a bit. So I was sat there thinking, oh right, I've come way too close, I've like walked off the stage, I'm done, I'm gone. But I still had a nice chat with them. The people that auditioned me, one of them was an older lady, and one of them was a younger lady who had been in Blood Brothers in the West End, which I myself have directed a student production of Blood Brothers in the past, so that was quite a nice little in for me. So yeah, so I just kept chatting to them, and then I think they asked me, oh yeah, be prepared to know why you chose your monologues. Make sure you have an answer for that, because I didn't at first, but then someone else told me that they were going to ask that question. So one of the people that went in before me told me that they were going to ask that question, so I prepared that right before I went in. I got really lucky, I won't lie, and yeah, then you just leave, and that was it. And I went home, and then about 3 days later, I found out I got a recall, which was really nice. And of course, I didn't get the recall for Mountview, and I was a little bit dejected at that, but it just kind of goes to show that, because obviously RADA are widely known as like the most prestigious school in the world, maybe, like especially the UK at least, like up there with LAMDA and Central are probably, I've always heard of the big three. So just because you don't get a recall at one place doesn't mean that you're not going to get a recall that anywhere that's like bigger than that. I think it definitely just comes down to what they're looking for. But of course, we'll see what happens with the recall. I haven't received word of when that's going to be yet, so we'll see with that. But then 3 days later, I had my LAMDA audition. LAMDA was, again, pretty easy to get to. It was about 7 stops away from King's Cross on the tube, and then it's like a 5-minute walk. Again, it was even less of a day than RADA, because there was no chat. It was just, we walked in, I walked into reception, I got signed in, went upstairs into one of the rehearsal rooms where all the other people were waiting, and then one by one they called us into the other room, and we just walked in, I said hello, did my speeches, and walked out. That was essentially it. There was no, like, the reason I've tacked it on to the end of this video is that there isn't much to talk about, and especially because I won't know the result for another 2 weeks, if that. Again, it's almost as if the money that you pay for the audition fee is purely for the privilege of auditioning for one of the top schools in the country. Like, there wasn't a workshop or anything. But the building was really nice, the people were really lovely, so I didn't feel bad in any way. I felt like the audition went fairly well. I didn't feel like it was too expensive, because like, on comparison to some other schools, LAMDA's quite cheap. So it will be what it will be, I guess. We'll see what happens when the result comes back for that. And of course got the RADA recall, and I've just got to send my UCAS off now to, I think the 5 schools that I'm auditioning for through UCAS are Central, Rose Bruford, East 15, Italia Conti and Drama Centre London. So by the end of the whole audition process, I should have at least 5 more videos, no, 6 more videos, because I do a RADA recall one. So I should have, or at least 6 more auditions packed into how many videos. But yeah, that was about it for both of them. There's not really a lot more to talk about. I've heard that the central audition process is a lot longer. It's like more workshops throughout the day, so that'll probably be a bit of a longer video. But yeah, there's not really, it's not anywhere near as intimidating as you might think auditioning for RADA and LAMDA. The people are so nice, and you know, it just goes to show that like anything can happen really, because I wasn't expecting anything from RADA on my first year at least, so I'm over the moon about that. But yeah, there's not much more for me to talk about, so I will sign off. See you later.